today we're unpacking a wild diplomatic drama. It's a story where a man on the run sparked a huge international legal battle that went all the way to the world's highest court, all while he was hiding in plain sight.
So let's just start with a puzzle. Picture this. A country's most wanted fugitive has the authorities turning the place upside down looking for him, but he's actually hiding right under their noses. I mean, how is that even possible?
Well, this isn't some spy movie plot. This was the reality for Victor Raúl Haya de la Torre, a major political leader in Peru. For 5 years, he lived inside the Colombian embassy, creating this incredible, almost unbelievable standoff. So, how in the world did this whole thing start? Well, it all kicks off with a military rebellion that, believe it or not, failed in a single day. And when I say things moved fast, I mean fast. On October 3rd, there's a rebellion. It's crushed that same day. The very next day, bam, the government blames Haya de la Torre's political party and outlaws it. A warrant goes out for his arrest, and after about 3 months on the run, he makes a mad dash for the Colombian embassy. And that is exactly where the deadlock starts. Colombia asks for what's called a safe conduct. It's basically a free pass to get Haya de la Torre out of the country safely. But Peru fires right back, saying absolutely not. Their whole argument was that he wasn't a political refugee. He was a common criminal, and Colombia had no right to be protecting him at all. So you've got this total stalemate. Neither side is going to budge. And what they do next is actually pretty remarkable. Instead of things getting worse, they agree to let the International Court of Justice, the world's highest court, settle the whole thing. And the case really boiled down to 2 core questions. First, did Colombia, as the country giving asylum, get the final say? Could they, all by themselves, decide that Haya de la Torre was a political refugee and then force Peru to just accept that decision? And the second question follows right from that. Was Peru, according to international treaties, legally required to hand over that safe conduct pass and just let him walk? Okay, let's really dig into that first big question. Colombia's entire argument, pretty much the whole thing, was built on this one idea that they had the exclusive right to qualify the offense as political. And that brings us to the key legal term here, unilateral qualification. It's a bit of a mouthful, but what it means is that Colombia was claiming they had the sole power to label the crime as political, and once they did, well, that was that. End of discussion. Peru would have to accept it. But the court, right away, said, whoa, hold on a second. There's a huge difference between 2 types of asylum. See, territorial asylum, when someone is physically inside your country, is one thing. That's just you exercising your power. But diplomatic asylum, hiding someone in your embassy in another country's capital, that's a major intrusion on their authority. And based on that big distinction, the court just picked apart Colombia's argument. They said that this kind of power wasn't written into the main treaty they were all using, the Havana Convention. There was no widespread custom supporting it either. And, the real kicker, Peru had already gone on record rejecting this very rule in other treaties. So, on that first huge question, the court's answer was a crystal clear, emphatic no. Colombia did not have the power to make a decision that Peru was forced to accept. All right, so Colombia loses big on the first point. But what about the second question? Even if they couldn't force the issue, was Peru still supposed to give Haya de la Torre that safe conduct pass? So for this, the judges basically got out their magnifying glasses and looked at the exact wording of the Havana Convention, and they found a very specific 2-step process. Step 1, the host country, Peru, has to ask for the refugee to be removed. Step 2, only then can the other country, Colombia, demand the safe passage. It's a sequence. And here is the fact that changes everything. Peru never did step 1. From the very beginning, Peru wasn't saying, get him out of here. They were saying, this whole asylum is illegal and you need to hand him over. And because step 1 never happened, well, step 2 could never be triggered. It's as simple as that. So the court's answer to the second question was also a big nope. Peru was under no obligation to provide a safe conduct pass. Okay, so at this point, Colombia's case is pretty much in tatters. And that's when Peru sees its opening and goes on the offensive. They argued that the asylum wasn't just flawed, it was straight up illegal from the very start. So Peru made 2 big claims. First, they tried to say Haya de la Torre was just a common criminal. The court didn't really buy that one. But Peru's second argument, that one landed. They said asylum is only for urgent cases, and the court agreed. Think about it. 3 months had passed. Haya de la Torre wasn't running from a lynch mob in the streets. He was hiding out to avoid a legal summons. There was no urgency. And this quote from the judgment really gets to the heart of it. The court basically said, look, asylum is a shield against a lawless, arbitrary government. It is not a tool you can use to just skip the regular, lawful, legal process.
So, after all the arguments, what was the final outcome? Well, it was a complete and utter legal tangle that somehow managed to solve nothing and everything, all at the same time.
And what's really fascinating here is that on that critical issue of urgency, the court was actually pretty divided. You can see the vote breakdown. 10 judges said the asylum was illegal, but 6 said it was totally fine. So yeah, Peru won the point, but it wasn't a slam dunk by any means.
So let's try to sum up this completely paradoxical verdict. The court said Colombia was wrong to grant asylum. It said Colombia couldn't make the call on its own, and it said Peru didn't have to let him go. But, and this is the incredible twist, the court also said there was no law that forced Colombia to hand him over, which left Haya de la Torre just stuck, trapped in the embassy in a bizarre legal no man's land.
In the end, the asylum case leaves us with this huge question that is just as relevant today as it was back then. In this delicate dance of international relations, where exactly do you draw the line between a nation's absolute right to control its own territory and the powerful humanitarian instinct to offer someone a safe haven?